And roll call, please.
Supervisor Brown?
Here.
Supervisor McCowan?
Here.
Supervisor Woodhouse? Here. Supervisor Hamburg and Jurdy are absent by prearrangement.
Thank you. And I would invite our HHSA Director, Tammy Moss Chandler, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, and we will now go to public expression. If there are any members of the public who would like to comment on items not on the agenda, please come forward. Seeing no one present or coming forward, well, so we will now go to item number 5, and I will also announce this is the only action item on our agenda, that item 9, the closed session, had been withdrawn. Supervisor Brown?
We do have consent calendar items.
My screen came up blank, but what do you have?
I have 3 claims
Okay.
against the county.
Legislate has failed me, so my apologies. We will go to item number 4, the consent calendar.
I'll move approval of this consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Woodhouse, second by Supervisor Brown. We will vote by the button.
Motion carries 3 supervisors, aye, 2 absent.
Thank you. And so now we will go to item, and thank you Supervisor Brown. So now we will go to item 5A, discussion and possible action regarding reaffirming a declaration of emergency pursuant to Mendocino County Code, Section 2.32.040, and Public Contract Code, Section 22050, due to damage to a county-owned facility located at 737 South State Street, Ukiah, caused by flooding. The Executive Office is the sponsor, and I presume Heather Carell will introduce the item.
Hi, Heather Carell, analyst from your executive office on the Risk Management Division. Just as a refresher to the board, on August 16th, 9,000 square feet of the Ukiah facility over on State Street, which houses our EFIS unit of social services, was flooded. There have been no actual interruptions of service, but this is a delay of several interview booths were flooded, and this will cause a delay in some folks getting eligibility services such as emergency food stamps and emergency assistance from the EFIS program. So there is a delay, not necessarily an interruption of service, but this is a delay. Per the recommendation of our insurance agency, they recommend that we reaffirm this resolution every 14 days and declare a state of emergency. Thus far, we have been able to clean out the facility. It's been completely emptied out. We've cleaned out the carpets. They've cleaned the mold out of the walls. There are 2 little spots that need to be re-cleaned, and we're scheduling that for this Thursday, just because they didn't get quite clean enough. And so we are doing that. Also, we're moving forward with preparing the overall scope of work for cleanup of the, for repair of the facility, including, recarpeting, building the walls back up. Some of the ultra walls were damaged, so we're going to have some wainscoting there. And so we're having our contractors put together an entire scope of work, and then if staff has any changes at that time, we'll go ahead and make those.
Thank you. Board member questions or comments? Supervisor Brown?
Thank you, Vice Chair McCowan. Started to say chair. But I just wanted to, isn't there some other way we can accommodate so there are not delays for individuals coming in that need food stamps and other services?
Staff has been accommodating folks. It's just there's not all of the interview rooms were flooded, about half of them were.
Oh,
So the
so
wait
they
times.
can't- okay,
The wait times are
got
just
you.
gonna be a
So
lot
wait
longer.
time. All
Yeah,
right,
so it's
thank
just
you.
wait time.
Okay.
But
Vice-
presumably, part of your question might also be, couldn't we make short-term, rent short-term facilities so that people don't experience the extended wait time?
Good morning. Members of the board, Tammy Moss Chandler, Director, Health and Human Services. I want to acknowledge that certainly during that first week of the flood, there were some extended wait times. No one was turned away, but individuals had to wait maybe on average 20 minutes to 60 minutes longer than they did the month prior. We also served more people that week than we did the month prior. So we're weekly looking at the needs in the interview rooms and making the most. So it is true that people have to wait a little bit longer than they have, but we've not turned anyone away for services. Their wait times are a little bit longer, and we're continuing to explore over this next month what expanded needs we might have. As you know, the first of the month is one of the busiest times in our office for eligibility needs. So with that week coming up on the holiday week next week, we're really being attentive to what we can do during next week to accommodate people as quickly as possible with the interview rooms that we have, and then make any additional adjustments that we need to make during the future months.
So, if I understand correctly, you're saying that everyone is being served the day they come in, they just might have to wait longer than normal.
That is correct.
Supervisor Woodhouse.
Thank you. Up until this point, is the average wait time before the problem? Just some estimate on your part.
So if you give me just a moment, I'm going to make sure that I give you an accurate quote.
Sure, I'm just trying to get a
yeah,
general
what a
idea.
wait time is for the average person. So I'll be back in a few minutes.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I don't know if you said it or not, but how long is this going to take to be back in full service?
We think it could take up to 1 month or two, just based on the rebuild, getting the quotes, and getting everything together.
Okay, thanks.
Supervisor Woodhouse.
HHSA, I don't require that information today. I'd be curious anytime. I know you're very busy, and was curious to see what it was originally and just to see how we're doing overall, but thank you for even considering looking it up. Thank you, ma'am.
And maybe that can go out to all supervisors.
Sure.
just
Thank you. I'd be happy to do that
for
through the
general
CEO's office.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, I just have a couple of things for process. So the recommended action is to reaffirm the state of the emergency, and I just wanted to verify that is the correct action rather than readopting the resolution.
Yes.
Okay. And then also with regard to the 4/5 vote requirement, County Council has advised that in the absence of 2 members, it would be 4/5 of the quorum that is present.
That's correct. It's one of those things you think would be a simple answer, but I think in this circumstances, because the code section says it has to be 4/5 of the governing body as opposed to the members, that would, in this particular situation, when you have 3 people present, it would be 4/5 of the 3.
Well, 4/5 of the governing body is 4, because to take action requires 3 members of the governing body, no matter how many are present.
So I did do very extensive research on this, and I believe, again, it would have to be all three of the members that are present. This is also an unusual situation where we have an emergency, and a special meeting in order to accommodate that. Normally, if on other things that require a 4/5 vote, you could continue the meeting in order to get that. This is not the situation here. So again, I did look at this very extensively, and I think that that you can proceed with the 3 of you as long as it's a 3 vote.
Right, but again, the question isn't, does it require the 3 of us who are present, but does it require 4/5 of the entire body? And you're saying under the circumstances, it only requires a unanimous vote of the three who are present.
Right, as long as you have at least a quorum, which you do, then yes, it would, you could go forward.
Thank you. Supervisor Brown.
Thank you, Vice Chair McCowen. I'd like to move the recommended action to reaffirm the declaration of emergency pursuant to MCC Section 2.32.040 and Public Contract Code Section 22050 due to damage to a county-owned facility located at 737 South State Street, Ukiah, caused by flooding.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Supervisor Brown, second by Supervisor Woodhouse. Is there any public comment? Seeing no one come forward, we will vote by the button.
Motion carries with 3 votes for the item and 2 supervisors absent.
And I believe unless a member of the board or the executive office has anything more to add, that concludes our business for today.
And then we'll have, we'll reaffirm the emergency at our September 13th meeting.
That's
Thank you.
correct.
Thank you all. So meeting is adjourned.